Hello and welcome to the channel. In today's episode, I am in the garden sowing seeds like a Mad Hatter. I don't feel behind the power curve, but I am frustrated already in the garden. And if you'd like to know what I mean by that, stay tuned. I sowed seeds indoors several months ago, several times. I sow them indoors in little cups like this so that I can get the seed germinated earlier than they would normally germinate just by putting them in the soil. So I got my seeds germinated. They began to grow, and I'll show you what I mean by that in just a second. And I put them in several places around the garden in the ground. And lo and behold, they began to grow. They looked really good. And before I knew it, they were gone. I found three different varieties of caterpillars in the garden, and I've had to take several different measures to get rid of them, but they have eaten almost everything that I have planted in the ground, completely eaten them down to the ground. So I've had to restart some things. So I've restarted several different seeds, and I'm going to be planting something that I did not want to plant, but I want food, and the only way I'm going to get it is either grow it or buy it from the store. So as much as I don't want to grow squash, I'm going to have to. So let me take you over to where I planted some stuff in the ground and show you what I mean. One of the reasons why and I hope you guys can see that, I put my seeds in water is, you see the little white bits on those seeds? That's germination. I put 4 seeds in here and I have 100% germination on those seeds. Can you all see that? All 4 have put out a root. So these have to go either in the greenhouse or in the garden. And that's why I soak my seed. So if you haven't tried soaking your seed, that way you don't waste your time, you know if those seeds are viable or not, soak them. You'll be able to tell right away. Okay, everybody, this is another reason why I germinate inside. I put these seeds in water, the little cups like I showed you all just a minute ago, and then I put them on the paper towel. Now these 3 seeds did not germinate, but these 2 and these 3 did. So that's 5 germinated and 3 did not. That's why I soak my seeds and germinate them in the house. That's less time I have to spend looking at soil thinking something's going to grow and it doesn't. So I'm going to get these in the garden. I have a few areas that I have been using as experimentation areas, and right around this TP greenhouse is one of those areas. Now I don't know if you can see because the sun has just come out, but I put several small watermelon down here. Only one of them has survived. I put in here two different varieties of watermelon as well as the Korean melon. And I think this is watermelon. I'm not for certain, but this is all that's left. Everything else has been eaten. I had little sprouts come up and nothing, just gone. So over here, the same thing. Sprouts come up, nothing, gone. So I'm going to try this again. I probably shouldn't. And you know what? I'm not going to put it in the ground. I'm going to put it in a container. I think I'm pressing my luck with this one. Like this one. Okay, let me see. I had a flower on it and it looks like it might, no, that one. I don't know if you guys can see. I had a flower here and that looks like it was not pollinated, but I'm going to leave it alone just in case it's doing something and I am not aware of it, because I don't know if this is a Korean melon or one of the little watermelons. Don't know. But either way, I'm happy to see it, but I'm a little frustrated that this is what's happening in my garden. Okay, I have changed my mind and I've gone back to my original plan. I am going to be placing some squash over here. I don't want squash anywhere else in my garden, and I will have to change the label that I have right here. Hope you all can see. I have a label I put down lemon cucumber, mouse melon, and Mexican sour gherkin over here, and they all just disappeared. So I'm going to take that label and change it out. As you can see, I hope you guys can see, with the mulch down, the ground is very moist. It rained a great deal today. I have worms down here, a couple of my composting worms I can see. They really love the wood chips. They have migrated out of my pots. So what I'm going to do is, since I'm moving this wood chip back, I have some compost over here. Oh, beautiful worm right there. I've got a few of my composting worms all throughout here. Beautiful. I've got some homemade compost in this bucket. I don't think you guys can see the bucket. It's right here. I've got some homemade compost as well as some store-bought compost potting mix in here. And I do have worms in here as well. They got into my potting mix bucket, which is amazing. So I am going to be placing a little bit of this store-bought potting mix as well as my homemade compost. And I'm going to put my squash over here. Now, I am going to be growing 2 new squashes that I've never grown before. These are squashes that I picked up at the Asian market. They are what they call a long green pumpkin and a round squash. Again, I'm not quite sure what they are because I can't read the name on the packet. I got them from the Asian store. But I'm just going to put some compost here because, again, they are very healthy eaters, squash plants. And I'm just going to put those here. And I can see I've just dumped some more worms down here, so that's amazing. And I've got 2 of each, 2 of the round squash and 2 of the long purple squash. See if I can find it. Here we go. And this is moist because it rained today. It rained in my soil bucket and it rained in the ground. You saw how moist the ground was. So I'm not going to worry about watering these seeds. And if I didn't say it before, the reason why I soak my seeds is, number one, to see if they're viable. And number two, a lot of times they will pre-germinate. And I'll show you what that looks like in just a moment. Now, I can't remember which one are the long one and which one are the short ones. Let me see. I marked it on my little container. Okay. The long is the one I put with the dots. So I'm going to put the long ones. It doesn't really matter, but I'm going to put them right here. Let me move that. Put the long ones on this side. And let's see. Where's the other one? Here we go. 2 long and 2 round. Just like that. And I space them out a little bit better than that. That way they have ample room to grow. Just like that. And then I'm going to just cover them over with a little bit more of the compost. Just like that. Hope you guys can see what I'm doing. Just covering them over with the wet compost. Just getting it out of the bucket with my hand. Just like that. I'm going to just press them down so that they have contact with that compost and potting soil, just like that. And I'm going to take this wood chip and I'm going to move the wood chip back over the top. That's going to keep them moist. Now, what I have found is that I don't have to water this. When I put this stuff in the wood chip, I don't have to really give it that much water because it holds water. So if you're ever thinking about using wood chips in your garden, yes, it does bring lots of insects like roly-polies and whatnot because they like to eat that rotting matter. But it does keep your ground, wherever you have it, very moist. That's one of the reasons why many people, when they plant their watermelon and viney plants, their pumpkins in the ground, they don't have to water as much because the more wood chip you have, the more that it holds on to the moisture and the more your plants grow without you having to water so much. So I'm going to leave these here. I'm going to take this and put the tag back in here, but I'm going to have to go and relabel it because it no longer has the mouse melons on it. So I'm going to be taking this out and exchanging it with what I have on here. So let me go see what else I have to sow in the garden. And what I did was I put a potted plant right here. That way I don't step and no one steps along here to give this a chance to grow without anybody treading on it. They're everywhere, y'all. I cannot get away from the creatures. Can you see that? This arachnid. My goodness. I think this is the one that was in my greenhouse. This is the other side of the TP greenhouse. And I am going to put squash over here as well. As I mentioned, I had no intentions of growing squash, but I cannot run fearful from the bugs. All I can do is treat for the bugs. And over here, this wood chip, I've got worms down here too. That looks like a native. That does not look like one of mine. And when I say one of mine, I have pots everywhere and I put my worm castings in my containers. And my worms, my composting worms, they find their way out. As Eva Jones mentioned in one of her videos, I think it was 2 videos ago, about her worm bin, worms find their way in and they find their way out. And so I am finding worms in my compost, which is amazing. I'm finding worms in the ground, which also is amazing. So I'm trying to get down to the soil, or what I call soil is where the wood chip met the ground and broke down, because my soil is not the best of soils. So I'm trying to reach that point. And as you can see here, as I'm moving all these wood chips back, it's a pretty good amount of wood chips here. And I'm still trying to get down to just that top layer of where the wood chips have already broken down. I am almost there. Here we go. There we go. And so I'm just going to take the compost and get some in here like so. And I may have to go get some more out of the compost can. I am down to the very little bitty bit of my compost that's ready. Now over here, I don't know if these are going to grow, but I'm going to try. I've got some honey nut and I've got some delicata. Now I don't know if I've ever had honey nut before, but I know I love, 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 love the delicata. It is so good roasted. So I'm going to place them down like I did the others. So I'm just pouring the water out. Okay, that seed wanted to jump out all by itself. I'm just going to place the delicata seeds in here like so. Just trying to, and they're much smaller than the other seed I just planted. Now that one just popped out. I don't know where it went, but it's in here somewhere. I can't see it. All right. And then last but not least, these last 2 little honey nut, and I don't know if they're going to grow, only because they didn't look so great. I really hate it when I buy seeds and the seeds don't look so great. It's so frustrating. I'm just going to cover this up just like that with the compost that's already here. And I can see these worms already. Ooh, look at there. I'm just going to take the wood chip and pour the wood chip back over and leave it alone. Now I need to get a tag and put over here so that I know what is in this space. So I'm going to leave these in this little pot right here, because this pot is what I'm going to place back in front of this so that I don't walk on it. No one else walks on it. This is my marker right here. So I'm just going to place it right here. And I'm going to leave these in here so I know what's growing here. And I think I've got maybe 2 more seeds of squash. So let me go double check that. And then we're going to call this good. Over here, I am going to put yellow squash. Now, the reason why I say I did not want to grow squash is because I had squash bugs many, many years ago before I left North Texas, and they completely ravaged my butternut and red curry squash plants. It was so disgusting. I wanted to burn the whole garden to the ground. I mean, oh, first time I'd ever had the squash bugs. Now, I don't know if they're the same type of squash bugs that most people have. To me, they look like stink bugs. And that's what I call the squash bug. It looks like a stink bug. And it was awful. I mean, those jokers were everywhere, man. Everywhere. Had some kind of ant right there. That's got to go. All right. So I'm just trying to take up the wood chip like I did before. Now, these, I do remember, these can grow in a container. I don't want to put these in a container. I don't have a lot more space for container growing, not right now. My space for container growing has been allocated to something else. So I'm going to have to acquire some more free big 15 and 30 gallon containers. I do have the buckets, but I don't want to put this in a bucket. So I'm not going to do that. So I'm just clearing this out. As you can see, there's a fair amount of wood chip, just like with the other area. So I'm just going to get some compost from out of the bucket. The bucket is behind you, so let me squeeze over here and dump the compost out. Oh, here we go. There we go. Just like that. Just like that. Scoot it along the row that I made. And let's see, what did I do with that? Oh, here it is. For a quick second, I thought I misplaced my seed. Now, these are yellow squash. I think I said that. So I'm just going to place one here. I hope you guys can see. I hope I'm not in the way. Sometimes my body does get in the way. I do apologize. And I can see that my composting worms are here because I did have them in that compost that I just dug out or dumped out. I'm just going to cover this up with the compost like that. Just make sure that they have contact with that compost, just like that. And then I'm going to take the wood chip like I did before and just cover it up. As I continue to mention, this wood chip keeps everything nice and moist. I won't have to spend a lot of time watering this, and that's what I like about it. And now I'm hoping that whatever, if it was a caterpillar, I believe I've gotten rid of the rodents. I haven't seen them in several days. But I'm hoping that nothing will eat my squash. The worst I have to deal with, hopefully, is just the squash bug. And I'm hoping I don't have to deal with that. But they're here, so it's coming. So I'm gonna place the pot right back like I did before. There's a lot of water in this pot. Let me pour it out. There we go. And then I'm gonna place this on top of here so that I know what to put on the tag, that this is the yellow squash. So that is it for me today with sowing squash seeds, y'all. Ooh, okay, everybody, I hope you can hear me. I hope my microphone is on. Sometimes this microphone will go off and I will not know it. I'll be in here just talking away. Y'all won't hear a word. Then I have to do a voiceover. Okay, so I have planted all the squash that I'm going to plant today. Whew, it's hot. I need to get inside. So I want to say thank you very much for joining me in the garden. I hope you enjoyed the different varieties of squash that I'm going to try to grow. The plan is to have them grow. We'll see what happens. I'm doing everything that I know to do right. They have their fertilizer, they are watered, they are covered up with mulch, but it has been a challenge to grow in the ground in my new environment. I've never had that before. So yeah, we shall see how this works out. So I hope you enjoyed today's video. I hope you did. If you did, do me a favor, give me a like, hit that thumbs up, leave me a comment, share the video. And if you have not already done so, subscribe to the channel. Come back for more of my gardening content. You may not like this video, but you might like the next one or the one after that, because there's always something going on in my garden. It's not always something pretty or pleasant, but it is definitely something that has to get done because this is a real garden and I eat from it. My family eats from it. And so these are the activities that go on every day. It's not just for entertainment purposes only. So thanks again, and I hope to see you either in my kitchen or my food forest sometime soon. Bye for now.